Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome back to the channel. And we're going to be here to talk about a blast from the past real quick. Since we're coming up to the Elimination Chamber, I decided to skim through some of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-views and check out a few, which ones I would have liked, which ones I liked, and which one I wanted to talk about here on this channel. And the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view I'm going to be talking about is the one from 2014. 2014 was an interesting year. It had its ups and it had its downs. So, let's take a look, shall we? We're going to skip over the pre-show, but if anybody wants to know the pre-show match was Cody Rhodes and Goldust defeating Ryback and Curtis Axel. There you go. If you were interested in the pre-show, there you go. Cody Rhodes in 2014 was on the pre-show, and here in Cody Rhodes in 2023 is on his road to WrestleMania. The first match on the main card was Big E defending his Intercontinental Championship against Jack Swagger, ECW Hornswoggle. If nobody gets that joke, go watch Christian's promo on Jack Swagger on ECW when he returned. This match was meh. It was okay, I guess. Never really was a big fan of Jack Swagger. Never really saw the appeal of him. He was, I never really liked Jack Swagger. He had potential, but he's just boring. He's just a boring guy. Just never really saw the appeal of him. Big E retained the Intercontinental Championship. This was Big E's first title reign before he'd get another one many years later. And a better title reign, to be exact. This first title reign wasn't exactly very good, but his second one was a lot better. Oh boy, this is one of the bad things about 2014. Here we are in 2014. We got the Old Age Outlaws, the New Age Outlaws, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn. In the year 2014, WWE still bringing back legends. And here we are in 2023, and we still have this very same thing happening. So this pretty much tells you that WWE don't learn a single thing from their past. They don't learn from their mistakes. This was one of the terrible things about 2014. Don't know why the New Age Outlaws had to come back, but, it's whatever. They took on the Usos before they were unbearable. The Old Age Outlaws were able to retain their tag team titles, unfortunately. I think they did eventually drop them to the Usos, but, just never really liked them being around. I mean, I know people grew up loving them in the Attitude Era, but just understand this. I never grew up with the Attitude Era. I grew up in the Ruthless Aggression Era, but I'm always straight and honest and say that people who are retired need to stay retired. Once you retire, you stay retired. And there's so many times legends just come out of retirement for just no apparent reason. And the New Age Outlaws were one of those people. No shade, no disrespect to anyone who likes the New Age Outlaws, but I just never really liked seeing them back on this one final run. And also, this is the year that Batista won the Royal Rumble match. Which, funny enough, that's what people were hoping that was going to happen to Cody Rhodes. He was going to get the Batista treatment, which never happened. Anyway, moving on, we got Titus O'Neil taking on Darren Young here. This was a boring match. I didn't really care too much for this. This is an example of a tag team breaking up that basically benefited nobody. This benefited nobody. This didn't benefit Darren Young. This didn't benefit Titus O'Neil. I always liked the Primetime Players as a tag team, and trying to set them out as singles competitors just never really worked in my eyes. The Primetime Players are one of those examples where you should just keep them together as a tag team, because they're just better off that way. And, yeah, that's just how I personally feel about the Primetime Players. Titus O'Neil debuted this very interesting music. Well, let me show you how. That's a muscle McGain, let me show you how. You know? And while Darren Young still used the Primetime Players music, and while now it's completely the other way around. Now Titus O'Neil keeps the Primetime Players music. Make a move, make a move, make $1 million move. Look at this, look at this. Me talking about the entrance music is way more entertaining than this boring ass match that I just really didn't care too much for. And that's the problem here. There's just nothing interesting to talk about in this match. This match was boring. It benefited nobody. Titus O'Neil got the victory. Who cares? Titus O'Neil didn't go on to do bigger and better things. The Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, God rest his soul, and Eric Rowan taking on Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, The Shield, in a 6-man tag team match. This was by far the best match on this card. I really much did enjoy this one. This one was easily the best match on the card. It was very hard-hitting, very fun, very enjoyable, and yeah, it was just great overall. And in the end, the Wyatt family picked up the victory in a solid 6-man tag team match. Normally, 6-man tag team matches are very bad, and they're really overbooked, and they're not very exciting. But this one was great. This was kind of the beginning of the Shield slowly turning face, and you know. And one other thing about this is that Dean Ambrose was the United States Champion by this point, and Dean Ambrose, I'm sorry to upset people who love Jon Moxley, aka formerly known as Dean Ambrose, but this title run that Dean Ambrose had as the United States Champion was one of the most atrocious and bad United States Championship runs in this title's history. He barely ever defended it. He barely ever defended that title. And even if he did, it was either on the pre-show, or it ended by disqualification due to Seth and Roman getting involved. It was just terrible. It was a terrible reign. Like, nobody took him seriously as the United States Champion. Yeah, sure, people took him seriously when he eventually won the Intercontinental and Tag Team and WWE Championships, but that was when Dean Ambrose had an established character. But even here, he just did nothing with the title. He didn't bother elevating it. He had the title for about 300 odd so days, one of the longer title reigns in the title's history. But the problem is that he just did nothing with it. If he had a great run, if the title reign was great and memorable, I would tell you guys how awesome it was. But people barely even remember Dean Ambrose ever holding the United States Championship, because that's how terrible it was. If you told someone that Dean Ambrose, aka Jon Moxley, is a former United States Champion, they'd probably think you're bullshitting. Because they're like, well, I don't remember Dean Ambrose ever holding it. Yeah, he had it for basically almost a year. He basically almost had it for a year. It just didn't benefit him. And I was so glad they finally took the damn thing off him and gave it over to Sheamus, who had a much better run with the title than Ambrose. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point. The Wyatt family got the victory over the Shield in a very, very good 6-man tag. We go from a very fun 6-man tag to an incredibly bad Divas Championship match. AJ Lee came out. I think this was an open challenge. I can't really remember for sure. But AJ Lee came down and she defended her Divas Championship against Cameron. Oh God, Cameron. Oh Jesus Christ, my God. I don't think anyone wants to remember Cameron. And listen, I always praise AJ Lee, and here's the thing, this match was bad, it just wasn't very good. And when I say bad, I don't mean AJ Lee is the reason it was bad. Cameron is the reason it was bad. Cameron was just an awful awful wrestler. This is where WWE started bringing in, had all these awful wrestlers. WWE had Rosa Mendez by this point, Eva Marie, so many terrible wrestlers. And this is what made AJ Lee's title reign very unmemorable. Like, why couldn't they just given AJ Lee one of the Bella Twins, or Natalya? Or hell, even Naomi. Naomi, the Bellas, and Natalya were the only people AJ Lee had fantastic matches with. Hell, she versed one of the Bellas, one of the Funkadactyls, and Natalya in a fatal 4-way at one pay-per-view, and that was an amazing match. Cameron sucks. Cameron was awful, and that's what made this match bad. And what made the match even more atrociously bad was that this match ended by disqualification, where Tamina delivered a clothesline and got AJ Lee disqualified. You couldn't give AJ Lee a clean win over Cameron on pay-per-view? Absolutely atrocious. They ended up doing the rematch on SmackDown, and then AJ Lee won clean there. That should have been the result at the Elimination Chamber. Absolutely abomination this was. And I can't blame this on AJ Lee. She did everything she could to make this match as decent as possible. The highlight of the match was AJ Lee grabbing Cameron's pom-poms and dancing with them. That was the highlight of the match. Absolutely atrocious match. So after we move on from that match, we get Batista taking on Alberto Del Dipshit, as I like to call the guy, and yeah, this match wasn't very good either. Batista was being booed by this point, and it was really doing no favors for Batista. You know, the reactions that Batista got in 2014 was the reactions people were expecting Cody Rhodes to get in the year of 2023. But anyway, Batista took on Alberto Del Rio. Alberto then, for some reason, started having this weird obsession with having Mexican flags on the turnbuckles. And this is when he was given the nickname Mexico's Greatest Export. I'm sorry to tell you this, Alberto. You are not Mexico's greatest export. Santos Escobar is Mexico's greatest export. Santos Escobar is way more of a better athlete and a better wrestler than Alberto. Listen, Alberto can have a decent match and a solid match here and there. He can have a good match here and there, but I just never cared about him. WWE tried to push him so hard back in the day, and it was... And look, I'm all for giving new superstars an opportunities, but man, trying to shove a guy straight into the main event is never a good idea. But Batista ended up getting the victory with the Batista Bomb. You know, very, very predictable. But then we get the main event. It is Randy Orton defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Daniel Bryan, John Cena, Cesaro, Christian, and Sheamus. You know, this match was very good. I did enjoy this one. You know, I rewatched this matchup on YouTube. The only thing I remembered about it was the only thing I really didn't like about it was how overbooked it was, and how ridiculously overbooked it was when it came to the interferences. But other than that, it was very good. It was a very good match. Sheamus was the first man eliminated by Christian. Then Christian was the next man to fall. He got eliminated by Daniel Bryan because Christian eliminated Sheamus. Cesaro was then eliminated by John Cena via STF tap out. And then John Cena gets eliminated by Randy Orton due to outside interference from the Wyatt family. The Wyatt family attacked John Cena. This is when WWE were building up the John Cena-Bray Wyatt match that everybody infamously remembers as the burial of Bray Wyatt. Funny, Bray Wyatt pinned John Cena twice in the year of 2017. Inside the Elimination Chamber in 2017, and on SmackDown in a triple threat. But Bray Wyatt never got his revenge on Cena until the Funhouse match, apparently. He got his revenge years ago, in my opinion. And then we came down to Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. Corporate Kane came down to the ring. Daniel Bryan attacked him for no reason. He did nothing wrong. Randy Orton would almost lose the match. Daniel Bryan would hit a running knee for a close 2 count. Kane would get involved. Daniel Bryan would hit Kane. Randy would then hit the RKO. Daniel Bryan would kick out. Daniel Bryan fights back into the match, but then Kane with another cheap shot, allowing Randy Orton to hit another RKO to retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You know, I will be honest, I knew this was eventually gonna, you know, to be completely honest, me being a Randy Orton fan around about this time was actually really good, but I knew his world title reign was only champion just to eventually get Daniel Bryan over. But then my main worry was that he was just gonna be fed to Batista, which then Daniel Bryan eventually got added. And in my personal opinion, Randy Orton never got pinned when he lost those titles. So he'll always be the first WWE World Heavyweight Champion to never lose his title via pinfall or submission. And Randy Dos Straps and 2 belts Randy, he was the first guy to do it. Well, Chris Jericho technically was the first guy to do it, but overall, I thought Randy's time as the WWE World Champion, you know, I wanted to say I liked it, but I didn't like the so many interferences and the so many times Randy Orton had to win due to outside interference. I know he was a heel then, but man, it just got very, very annoying. Because I'm just like, Jesus Christ, Randy Orton's a veteran. He can win a match on his own. But yeah, I just never really liked it. I wanted to like the title reign, but the outside interferences and the constant help really ruined it for me. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the Elimination Chamber from 2014, a blast from the past, a very fun, well, not a very fun pay-per-view, I'm not going to be honest, it wasn't very good. Only 2 matches really stood out to me as fun and good. Other than that, everything else can just go in the trash. Thank you all so much for listening in, and I will see you all next time. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time.